How many of you are not power first? Okay, did you hear me? How many have power in the second or third level, though? All right. So we don't teach people to try to be all of these things and just have balance. That's not the issue. The issue is to be all of who you are and to be able to use it in a very, very intentional way. So when you know you need to be power, you can shift to it and learn what that means. And learn how to be the presence of power in the room instead of the presence of love, wisdom, or knowledge. Now, the second core value is love. The nurturing of core values in oneself and others is building relationships. My value is that when I walk into the room, I tune in immediately to everyone around me. I connect with them, I learn who they are, I care about who they are, and I immediately begin trying to optimize who they are. My goal is to nurture and mentor and coach and participate with that person so they are elevated by my presence with them. That's the drive of love. It's also intuitive. Wisdom. When wisdom walks in the room, there's a quiet space that comes in because the first mission of wisdom is to observe, to sit back, to watch, to ask a few subtle questions, and then to engage, and then maybe experiment, and then watch some more. And finally, I come to a position where I understand. And at that moment in time, I am able to be the wisdom in the room at this moment for this group. So do you hear the difference between the power-based person and the wisdom-based person? The wisdom-based person, when they look like they're doing nothing and just observing, is doing their work. And if you put that person where you need power first, you just made a huge mistake. Because as soon as your back is turned, they're going to do their work, their real work, which is to do nothing, to just look, observe, and watch. And if you're an innovator first, a wisdom person first, you need to think about how that is going to impact the people under you. Because you're going to cause the culture to go around your timing, your sense of need to make sure you know before you act. And you're going to slow your company down until it dies. Unless you learn to shift out of that into power, love, or knowledge and make it work for you. And then knowledge is the how and why of things. And focused on conservation and information and being the knowledge for the people around us. Now, what we have is then all of these energies dictate, according to Maslow, we just named them, according to Maslow, they dictate where you fit best in the world. So we learned how to look at the core values and see that if you are a builder merchant, you are an intuitive contributor. You don't need a lot of thinking. You're not there. The opposite is cognitive. So the more intuitive you are, the less cognitive. And then there's the creative on the right side, and the left side is practical. The more creative you are, the less practical. How many are high creatives? Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? I'm a 45-point creative. It is a real stress for me to be doing practical, repetitive, redundant, just moving the same thing today that I moved yesterday and taking an action and getting a result all day long just doing. Because that is not my real work. So as a business leader, I can't put myself in the situation where I'm the one that has to drive that all the time. I have to hire that. I have to pay good money for that. When you hire a person, there are two assignments. You are committing to raise them to their highest and best contribution, and they better be committed to raising you to your highest and best contribution, to take from you those things you don't do well, to own those things that are hard for you to do, to see and be willing to balance and cause you to be a better person by taking on for themselves, even when you try to hold on to it and keep them from doing it. They're so adamant about raising to your highest and best contribution that they make you uncomfortable. Now you're building a team. We have learned that all businesses, typically, this is just a repeat of the pie chart, start with a bell curve on the left. And when we use a hiring method, the way I'm going to show you right now, we end up a year later with the bell curve on the right. We have learned that we can and do consistently defeat the 80-20 protocol, the 80-20 philosophy. That 20% of the work people do 80% of the value, create 80% of the value. We defeat it. We go into company after company, have used all kinds of human assessments and millions of dollars of HR, advisory services and programs and consultants. And when we do a study of their groups, we find the bell curve on the left every time. But we have learned and we've proven that we can make it actually change. The difference is that we have moved from 33%, write this down, 33% human capital efficiency. That's what most businesses achieve. 33% human capital efficiency. We move our clients in a year's time to 85, 90% human capital efficiency, meaning that only A and B players are doing the work in every job. And that's what we call human capital efficiency, the best that can be done by a person who belongs in the seat. So the hiring method is to build a top performer profile by looking at the people who are current in the seat and understanding what the job is. And then we take that top performer profile and we put it at the beginning of the hiring process. So the old process is to get resumes, do phone calls, do phone interviews, bring in first interviews. And by the way, I've already screened out a whole bunch of my future A players here, the gold, and I end up 70, 80% of the time with a less than A or B performer. That's the process. No matter what you put up in here and do in here, you don't change that process because you're talking to the wrong person to begin with. You're wasting your time by interviewing the wrong person, somebody who's not wired to do the job you want them to do. So what we do is we take our top performer profile and we drive it to the top of the process. You bring in interview resumes, you type in the email address, send them a core value index just like you got. It takes them 10 minutes to take, just like most of you spent. You get back the score, it gets compared automatically to the top performer profile, and only those people do you read the resume. You don't do anything until that point, until you know that you have the person who is wired by life, by nature, to want to do, to make the contribution, to spend their time, to spend their energy, to invest their life force in doing the work that you need them to do in that job. And when you make that connection, now you apply all of this thinking and process to choose which of those three are the best. That's our process. Now, what we also do is we go into companies and we do what we call a human capital audit. And what we do is we identify the top performer profile or the right core value nature in every position in the company. And when we need to move the D players out of one position, we look at their core value nature and we move them into a different position where their core value innate nature aligns with the people who are top performers in that job. And by doing this, we increase the human capital efficiency often by as much as 2 times. We get twice the amount of productivity, or we reduce the cost by half, depending on what we need to do. But if you don't put the right people in the right seat, including yourself, if you don't define your job the right way, then you and everyone else is working against their most important, valuable inner nature all day long, and you are getting the results of that misalignment. So my challenge to you is to claim your life, to put yourself in the right position, to choose people who deserve to be with you, and lift yourself and them to your highest and best contribution, and you and the other millions of entrepreneurs and business owners in the United States will lift this economy back into an uproarious success over the next decade. Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.